To talk about what is REST API, first we see like what all layers are there. First, this is your front end. It can be a mobile application, it can be any other UI, right? And then this is your middleware, which we can also call as API. And then we have the database. That is usually like a three-tier architecture looks like. This is your front end. Let's use another color. So this is your front end, and this is your middleware, and this is your database. So anything after front end, it is called your backend logic, whereas API plays the major role. So why this plays the major role? For example, right now you have this as a mobile application. So one set of developers will actually work on the front end, whereas the second set of developers will work on the middleware or on the API or the REST API. And then database engineer will actually design how the entities should be saved. Now, to make this multi-platform scalable application, you don't want to disturb this thing. You want that irrespective whatever products, let's assume that this is your Amazon application, so whatsoever product are appearing on your mobile device, you want the same rate and same sort of applications or some set of items should also be available on the web too, right? So with this logic, you want to separate this backend logic altogether and you want to segregate it, whereas irrespective whether it is a mobile application or web application or maybe some third-party applications which may want to access the APIs will get the same data, right? So from the understanding perspective, where the backend logic should be separate and the front end can be projected on different devices based on their requirement. It can be mobile, it can be web, it can be any other third-party application consuming this API. Now, how these mobile and web application talking to API? So there are multiple ways how these are talking to each other, and this API is in turn talking to each other. Database. So this is your REST API. It runs on HTTP or HTTPS, right? If it is HTTP, hypertext transfer protocol, or it can be a secured one, so HTTPS. So REST API is when someone is invoking call to this API in turn calls to database. So where this API sits, it sits on an application server or usually the Tomcat, right? It can be, there are certain frameworks which can be used node, right? So these are some of the popular framework that are used to design this API. So are you clear, Harsh, where this is sitting and then how this is interacting with database and the front end and acting as a middleware?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Technology. So we talked about what is application programming interface. We talked about what is backend as a service. Now the backend database, I think this must be clear by now. We just talked about it. Any database is accessed indirectly by the user is called backend database.